Tsunami watch. A massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake hit off Russia's Kamchatka coast early this morning, triggering tsunami warnings that stretched from Japan to Hawaii. And this is getting everyone on edge. Authorities say waves up to 5 meters hit the Kuril Islands, but most alerts are now downgraded, though California's north coast is still on watch. More on that in a moment. Welcome to Christy Lee's DC Dispatch. Coming up, Lindell TV's Allison Steinberg joining me with if California will fumble yet another potential disaster. Epstein updates. DHS whistleblower Aaron Stevenson has some shocking revelations about Biden's missing migrant children and more economic wins. But first, we are so blessed to be able to bring you the truth out of DC. Who'd thunk it? Here on Lindell TV, thanks to our fearless leader, Mike Lindell. Please continue to support these efforts to bring you this programming and support after all that Mr. Lindell has been through with persecution and getting canceled at the big box stores. Never been more important to make sure you get your shopping done at mypillow.com, and you can search all of the latest deals. I just recently got Giza Dream Sheets, and they are luscious. So get yourself some Giza Dream Sheets. Take advantage of the low price there. My slippers are a must. Again, I want to pick yourself some up of those. And if you haven't even tried the pillow yet, I mean, certainly, what is stopping you? Got to try the pillow there. But just be sure to use promo code KL, as that will get you the best deal, and it also helps support this show in particular. So thank you for your continued support and prayers. Please continue to get your shopping done over there on mypillow.com, promo code KL. Now, while the Trump administration is taking a victory lap over turning the economy around, there's always some political power struggles going on. Representative Anna Paulina Luna is ready to shake things up, planning to force a House vote in September on banning member stock trading with a discharge petition, according to Politico. She's teaming up with Representative Tim Burchett to stop insider trading on the Hill. Long overdue, when career politicians like Nancy Pelosi have amassed millions, even during pandemics when everyone was struggling. She was just making money hand over fist. But there's plenty of suspect Republicans making bank as well. So let's just be clear on that. The Pelosi Act, we've got that bans congressional stock trading. That's just passed out of committee, 8-7. And Trump earlier today saying Pelosi should be investigated. To get this done, it will be an uphill battle, but would be a huge win for the Trump administration and earning public trust. So it's good to see that there's some action on this front. Sometimes it seems like 2017 all over again, though, when President Trump has to relentlessly battle his own party. President Trump is putting the pressure on Senator Chuck Grassley right now, demanding he drop the blue slip tradition to ram through judicial picks, and he's not holding back. Trump's calling it a cowardly custom on Truth Social, saying Grassley has the guts to act, especially after Dems broke it first. Meanwhile, in an effort to bury the Obama Russiagate bombshells, legacy media suddenly amplifying Epstein. An eloquent J.D. Vance is shutting down reporters suddenly, all of a sudden, caring about the disgraced pedophile watch.
First of all, the president has been very clear. We're not shielding anything. The president has directed the attorney general to release all credible information and, frankly, to go and find additional credible information related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. He's been incredibly transparent about that stuff, but some of that stuff takes time. You've got to assemble that stuff. You've got to compile that stuff. You've got to redact some victims' names so that you protect the victims. But the president has been very clear. He wants full transparency. He's asked that from the attorney general, and I know, because I talk to her all the time, the attorney general is hard at work on that issue right now. But I think I got to make an observation that there's an interesting thing about this case that the American media seems to totally ignore. For 4 years, under Joe Biden's Department of Justice, the media didn't give a damn about the Epstein files or about the Epstein case. For literally 20 years, the story about this scumbag, and he is a scumbag pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, he's dead now, but for 20 years, you had Obama and George W. Bush's Department of Justice go easy on this guy. They didn't fully investigate the case. They didn't show any curiosity about the case. And now Donald J. Trump is asking his Department of Justice to show full transparency. And somehow that's a criticism of Donald J. Trump and not Barack Obama and George W. Bush. If you want to criticize the people who aren't showing full transparency, you ought to go after the administrations that went easy on Jeffrey Epstein, the administrations that concealed this case for 20 years, and the administrations that failed to show full transparency. Donald J. Trump, I'm telling you, he's got nothing to hide. His administration has got nothing to hide, and that's why he's been an advocate for full transparency in this case. He's going to keep on being an advocate for full transparency, but while we're focused on that case, Donald J. Trump is also worried about making sure these great workers get more take-home pay and better jobs, and that's the focus of the administration. Thank you.
You gotta love Vice President J.D. Vance. He is as ruthless as President Trump, but oh so eloquent. He speaks like butter. Legacy media also twisting Trump's comments recently about Virginia Giuffre, or is it Guffrey? I hear people say it both ways, so I'm not really sure. But here's what he had to say about that.
In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah, he stole her.
Now, the point of this is he is reiterating that he kicked Epstein out, thought he was a skeezy guy, apparently, basically. But the media has spun this into being somehow nefarious, like Trump's mad Epstein took Guffrey. Never mind the fact that victim, she has always said Trump had no part in her victimization. Nevertheless, the Epstein enigma is hurting the Trump administration. Alison Steinberg has done some digging on this, and she will share that and all the latest updates about Epstein. Sorry that we're still talking about this, Allison, but here we are. We have to address it. This is what the people care about, and the administration's got to do something.
Yeah, they do. And I actually had the opportunity to speak with Mark Mitchell today of Rasmussen Polling, who shared some very interesting insight on that, which we will get into in a moment. But yes, it is a top issue for MAGA. Of course, it's been an ongoing saga for weeks now, ever since that Axios report came out. And, President Trump didn't really handle it as we probably would have liked. And now he's saying it's a Democrat hoax after all of this back and forth. And ultimately, it boils down to the fact that MAGA is not going to let this go. It's a huge issue to the base. And, there's been a lot of very interesting developments. Initially, Trump sort of tried to sweep this under the rug along with his administration, Pam Bondi, namely, even Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. It was very strange, the handling of it, because so many of these people have been so vocal about it for so long. Now it's sounding like there is more to this than, the Trump admin initially let on to. So the latest now, Christy, we're hearing that the infamous missing minute has been uncovered. If you recall, not too long ago, Attorney General Pam Bondi explained away this discrepancy. Earlier in the month, the Department of Justice had nearly released about 11 hours of CCTV footage inside the correctional facility where Epstein allegedly died by suicide. People were very quick to point out that there was a missing minute in there. Of course, the DOJ said that the full raw clip would have captured anyone entering Epstein's cell the night that he died, but forensic analysis was repeatedly edited over several hours with about a minute of missing footage. And this is when Pam Bondi came forward and said this is a discrepancy in the video. She said the system resets itself every night. So every night, and I'm quoting this, every night should have had the same missing minute. But now we have this full footage here. So that kind of doesn't align with Pam Bondi had initially said. That doesn't follow the initial story there. That's not to say this additional minute actually unveils any critical information. There's really not much that is shown there at all, but it doesn't align with the initial story. So again, I guess that probably leads to more skepticism within MAGA, because obviously Pam Bondi was not honest with us from the beginning on this video footage issue.
Pam Bondi has been a messaging disaster. Like, I mean, everything from saying she had things when she didn't, then trying to say, oh, well, I didn't say that specifically, to, oh, this missing minute is explained because they're all missing minutes. Oh, we found the missing minute. And I mean, at one point we were hearing not only was there a missing minute, but that there was analysis that showed 3 missing minutes. So it's like, oh my gosh. Like, and at the end of the day, we're so focused on this video that wouldn't really show anything anyways, because to my understanding, those 2 doors that are on the forefront of the video aren't even like having to do with the cell. It's like the way back. I mean, it's a mess. Like, I'm just like so irritated and done with it at this point, as I'm sure many others are. Meanwhile, you talk about messaging disaster. You say that you have looked into all of this fully and everything, but then when people get all upset, you're saying, oh, now we're going to interview Maxwell. It's like, wait a minute. You mean you did all that time you were saying you were like digging deep into this, you didn't interview her yet? Are you kidding me? I mean, this is why people are so frustrated.
Yeah, it is. The fact that she was never interviewed is like the missing piece of the puzzle here that is so critical that it makes your jaw drop to know that this was never, something that took place previously. It's shocking. All of it is just shocking. Nothing adds up here. It is why, again, the MAGA base is so frustrated. And in my conversation with Mark, which we'll hash out in a moment, he seems to think that this is not a recoverable situation as the plot just continues to thicken, obviously. Yeah. But as far as Maxwell's concerned, as we know, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer announced last week that Maxwell was set to testify before the panel on August 11th in Tallahassee, where she's serving her 20-year sentence. Now we're hearing Maxwell's lawyer, David Marcus, sent a document with conditions for her testimony. The committee is now saying that they will not accept them. But basically, the Oversight Committee responded to Maxwell's attorney. They are saying that they will not consider granting congressional immunity for her testimony. And this letter from Marcus, her attorney, to the committee, obtained by the Daily Mail, says it contains a list of conditions for her to testify, including immunity. So Marcus is now further requesting that the committee provide Maxwell with their questions in advance of their sit down. So I guess we'll see what happens there with this interview. Again, we have the DOJ and Congress now apparently conducting parallel investigations on this. So yeah, I think we're all just eager to see what she has to say on the matter and, what comes out of that, since, again, this investigation never actually took, as many of us assumed it probably had.
I would say at least it seems that some messaging got back to Trump about how he handled, because he's now answering questions and just kind of like seems chill about it, as opposed to like getting all angry and like, why do you even care about this? Like, it seems like he's chilled, backed off, and is pushing for just, he'll answer questions and seems, so at least he got some messaging pointers, it seems like. That being said, they're still finding ways to spin and try and make him part of this narrative in some way, right?
Yeah, well, the Democrats, of course, are really seizing this moment, which I think is one of, Trump's greatest downfalls in this whole Epstein nonsense, was, giving them that little carrot there that they have just latched onto now and will not let go of. Is there any truth to what they're saying? Again, if they, had possession of these records for so long, they could have used that against Trump at any given point in time, but they didn't. So it's interesting they're only mad about this now. But again, I think this is more about the way that Trump and his administration have chosen to handle it, all of the weird messaging and the back and forth and the somewhat, bashing of MAGA, even in those who were interested and continue to ask questions about it. Like I said earlier, I had the opportunity to talk with Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen Polling, and he gave his thoughts and insight. He gave us some polling numbers related to this. So let's take a listen to some of what he had to say from earlier today in our DC Live.
This is a wake-up call for the Trump administration. July became a pivotal month for them in a way that I don't think that they were expecting, because he, on July 4th, signed the One Big Beautiful Bill into law. And he also took out the Iranian nuclear program. And those are two, the bill should have been more popular. It didn't affect his numbers at all, in my opinion. What happened is since the middle of June, his numbers have been crashing. He was net favorable, a net job approval rating of +8, and he got all the way down to -4 in just a 3-week period. So that's a 12-point drop. Is that cataclysmal? No. Like, Biden had worse approval ratings after the Afghanistan crisis. And will Trump be able to claw some of that back? Yeah, probably. But why did it happen? When he was supposed to be celebrating success, when it's like the middle of the summer and people shouldn't be paying attention to politics, why is this happening? And I think a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it has to do with Epstein. And that's because Trump has lost complete narrative control on this, because I don't think he understands public opinion. Pam Bondi came out and said that, the stuff she said, that the case was closed after that Axios article. And we were immediately into the field with polling that showed that Americans completely don't agree with that. Only 16% think the Epstein case is closed. 68% say there's dozens of powerful and wealthy offenders who need to face justice, and only 21% of voters believe the FBI and the DOJ that there was no Epstein client list. And so this is a major problem when Republicans aren't even buying Republican administration party lines. And so I did this polling. I think the administration saw it, but then the very next day, Trump is out there attacking his followers for not falling in line. And that is a major unforced error. And I predicted at the time, they have to get in front of this. They have to control the messaging. They have to either release what they have or say that they're going to use their FBI to investigate. We pay $11 billion for the FBI. So this idea that there's no evidence, sorry guys, you just got to let all these people skate. Americans immediately saw through that and said, no, this is just the same two-tiered system of justice that we've been dealing with forever that Trump was supposed to fix.
Strong message there.
So yeah, I think that expresses, a lot of the frustration that MAGA is feeling about this. And it is a critical issue because, as Mark points out in this next clip I want to play, this is, could potentially affect the midterms. I mean, they're just around the corner here, and this is a major issue that Democrats could now be using to their advantage. So take a listen to what he had to say regarding the upcoming midterms and the Democrat messaging on this now.
How likely is it that the Trump administration officials are engaged in a cover-up to hide Donald Trump's involvement with Epstein? 60% likely, 45% very likely. 41% of Republicans think it's likely, 81% of Democrats. So even Trump voters think that it's likely that the administration is covering up at least some of Trump's involvement with Epstein. This is not going to go away, and they have to now to fix it. I think the situation is very different. I think that they could have immediately made this go away 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now, if you look everywhere on Reddit and the mainstream media, they're just banging this drum, and they're going to keep dribbling out information.
So it's a huge percentage of the MAGA base, obviously very upset about this. And to his point, I don't think this is going away. Again, the way that they've handled it has not been ideal. So I don't know. We'll see what continues to happen. Obviously, this is an ever-evolving story, and we continue to get a lot of new information every week, seemingly. So we'll see what happens as this continues to unfold. But yeah, for now, I guess it's not looking so great for Trump, unfortunately, because he is, he's sort of let down the base, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah, definitely not good. But we also don't want to overblow it because while that is going on, Democrats have also had the lowest approval rating ever, pretty much. And
True.
Governors like Governor Newsom certainly aren't doing themselves any favors, especially when Hollywood characters are even saying, what is up with this guy? Like, is he stealing from us? I mean, this threat of a tsunami is yet another opportunity to show how ill-prepared California is for any kind of a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, Democrats have failed us time and time again. This is really nothing new, and no surprise in California, unfortunately. It's very sad. California's had to endure so many hardships with weather, these fires, tsunamis now. So much of America has endured, what I guess is being called natural disasters, but that's a whole nother topic for another day, whether or not these are actually natural. The point is, though, Newsom, I don't think, he was at all prepared with this tsunami warning. Thank God it ended up not being as terrible as initially expected. I think that, it ended up being actually far less, tragic than what was discussed. Trying to see the numbers here. Where is this? The tsunami ended up, it reached Hawaii, obviously, in sections of the West Coast. There was a state of emergency declared in California, and the waves were over 1 meter high. They reached some of the shores around Los Angeles area and affected some streets and vehicles. But again, not nearly as, tragic as was initially anticipated. So this is good news, because had it been worse, obviously, there would have been a massive disaster to clean up. Can we count on Gavin Newsom to deal with that? I don't think so. I mean, just look at the Palisades fires. This happened how long ago? A year ago now? And, or was it 2 years ago? I don't even know. It's been quite some time. And Gavin Newsom has done nothing. The area is still in shambles. These poor people have lost everything. And what's Gavin Newsom's plan? Oh, nothing except bring in low-income housing in the area where once, very nice homes were built and some wealthy people resided. Yes, now Gavin Newsom wants to completely overrun that with low-income housing. Spencer Pratt has actually been extremely vocal about this. For those millennials out there, you may have known him from the Hills. I didn't used to like him much back in the day, but now he's actually doing a lot of great work. He's been very outspoken about Gavin Newsom's failures and a lot of these holes in the story that he has been digging into and finding out. So with that, he actually just released this very interesting video. Let's take a listen to what Spencer Pratt is saying about the Palisades fires now.
Are you ready for this? I just found out over 150 Pacific Palisades residents were dropped by State Farm 30 days, less than 30 days. One person 6 days before the Palisades fire because of their GPS coordinates of people's address, wildlife mitigation, to blah, blah, blah. It's because Gavin Newsom doesn't clear his state park brush that surrounds the Palisades. For 40 years, it's been overgrown. It's a rat's nest of fuel, and this is why they get away with it. And then all these people during the holidays couldn't find new insurance because all the premiums were 10 times what some of these people have been paying for 35, 40 years, and they get stuck with California Fair Plan, which barely covers anything. Is not even, shouldn't be called Fair Plan. It should be called excuse my language here, but that's what it should be called. So when I get to DC, I'm also looking into this scam that the insurance companies and Newsom is letting happen in California. No more.
It's so funny because in that show, he was kind of like the bad guy, right? Like the one you're supposed to love to hate. But in this situation, it's like glorious because like he is like the bad guy, the nemesis of Newsom. and so now I kind of want to get like a Spencer was right t-shirt.
I love that. That's amazing. I think we should start that. I'm sure he would love that, in fact. But yeah, I got to give him credit where it's due. I mean, he has been very outspoken. He's still rightfully very upset about the fact that this fire destroyed that entire area, to completely wiped out their home. Nothing's been done about it. Now you look into the insurance fraud here. I mean, this is sick and twisted, and I can't help but think it's all part of a greater plan to bring in other people that the Democrats want in that area. Just look at what happened in Maui. Same situation. They, strategically somehow wiped out middle-class areas while all of the wealthy elites' homes were completely untouched. And we come to find out, dig a little deeper, there is a whole World Economic Forum plan to start implementing smart cities there. So I wouldn't think it's a stretch to say that similar things are probably happening in California. Unfortunately, it's very sad that innocent people get caught in the wake of these disasters and are at the mercy of these radical, liberal, far-left governors who ultimately seek to destroy and, create some, one world system where everyone is equal and no one can have anything nice, because that's ultimately what they want in their, communistic haven that they dream about every day. But it's just unacceptable, and we need more people like Spencer Pratt calling out the inconsistencies and calling out the Democrat lies and nonsense, because this is how we stop them. We need to put on the public pressure and let them know that this cannot continue.
Yeah, the corruption is so deep and so wide that it's not hard to find how they use these crises to money launder and everything else. So I am here for Spencer Pratt getting red pilled. And I will
love
support
it so
him
much.
all the way. All right. Well, thank you so much, Allison. I'm going to let you get back to it, your coverage in DC. And we appreciate you with all that information. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Christy.
Yes. Coming up, we have another bombshell report coming from a DHS whistleblower, Aaron Stevenson, who's going to be joining me soon. But first, I'm going to be covering some economic news. And before that, we need to take a quick break here from the sponsors that make this show possible.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
And welcome back to DC Dispatch. Turning now to talk economy. Good news there. Let's talk some sense and sensibility. The U.S. GDP grew at a solid 3.1% annual rate in the second quarter, beating expectations of 2.3%. That's a win for Trump's policies. The bump came from strong consumer spending and business investment, but Trump is shaking up trading again, announcing a 25% tariff on India. Remember, while India is our friend, we have over the years done relatively little business with them because their tariffs are far too high, among the highest in the world, and they have the most strenuous and obnoxious non-monetary trade barriers of any country. Also, they have always bought a vast majority of their military equipment from Russia and are Russia's largest buyer of energy, along with China, at a time when everyone wants Russia to stop the killing in Ukraine. All things not good. So that's why he's imposing that 25% penalty and plus an additional penalty fee there. Speaking of tariffs, CNBC reports President Trump is holding firm on the August 1st tariff deadline, threatening to slap new duties on over 100 billion of imports unless countries strike deals. He's pushing for better terms on energy and AG exports, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says it's not a deal breaker if it slips a few days. President Trump is floating the idea of sending tariff rebate checks to Americans with a plan to give families up to $2,400 from tariff revenues to offset costs. And that's got everyone talking. This follows a Senate bill from Josh Hawley proposing $600 per person. But some economists worry it could blow up the deficit. Here's my thought. I would love to get an extra check. That's always nice. But let's worry about our national debt. Why not use that extra tariff money to chip away at the national debt, which is sitting at over $36 trillion. Okay, let's worry about that first. Besides, USA Today reports Trump's new EU trade deal, a game changer for U.S. jobs, predicting it'll create tens of thousands of positions in energy and manufacturing, a smart move to counter China's grip on global markets. Commerce Secretary Letnick says EU deal is a historic economic victory for America. Take a listen.
Right. The president knew how far he could go, and he went exactly that far. The thing about our president is he's got that intuitive nature when he's sitting across the table and making a deal. He knows how far he can push it. I mean, imagine they committed to $750 billion of energy purchases, natural gas and oil and nuclear, During his term, they committed $600 billion of companies investing in America, and then 15% tariffs. They will pay 15% pretty much across the board. And we, of course, have an open market to the $20 trillion European market. It's 5 times bigger than any other, Japan and India, 5 times bigger with 450 million people. It was a master class by President Trump.
A huge deal, no doubt about that. The Wall Street Journal, under fire for that wild Trump writing a birthday letter to Epstein article. Well, even they opine, if Trump's tariffs are so bad, where is the recession we were warned about? It's almost as if legacy media lies, right? The fake news is forced to admit the latest Trump deal made is awesome. Watch.
The early reviews are in on the new trade deal announced with the European Union. The Financial Times says the deal marks a victory for Trump.
Is this a fantastic deal then struck by Donald Trump?
Absolutely a victory on behalf of the Trump administration.
Well, the bottom line is this is the biggest trade deal in President Trump's effort to effectively reshape the global trading order.
On this deal, the European Union, this is a big win for the U.S.
The bigger picture is that Trump is still very much pursuing his longer-term goal of achieving what he perceives to be fairness for America.
It's a triumph of a lot of things. Certainly, the president ought to take a victory lap. I think it ends up being good for the European Union. It's a blow against the conventional wisdom.
So there you go. I bet that was a hard pill for many of them to swallow. But let's take a look at the market action right now live from Market Watch and see where we're at in the market. Looks like all red today. I imagine that part of that is because we just learned that the Fed is going to leave those interest rates unchanged, which is wild because there has been dissension within the Fed about this move. And clearly things are looking so well, even with that last video. So it's like, why are they not cutting rates? So imagine some of that is because of the now this says weights, but it looks like the latest news here is that they will leave them unchanged. So anytime that there's uncertainty in the market, it's not going to necessarily look good for the market. But that's why you do want to have diversification across asset classes. Going to encourage you to at least look into adding some precious metals to your overall portfolio. They tend to act counter to the market, and so it can be a good play there. You can go to MikeLindellGold.com. That's MikeLindellGold.com, and you can even call them 1-888-4-GOLD-19 and ask, hey, this is what I've got. Maybe find out if you could do like a partial rollover with your IRA or 401k just to get yourself diversified. So follow through there, and that helps support the show as well. All right, turning now to something that the Trump administration has really been dominating other than the economy, and that is turning Biden's destructive open border policy around. But they've been making claims that they're saving missing children, those 400,000 plus that were missing under the Biden administration after the open border policy. But are those claims of saving children overblown? Well, here to discuss is a DHS whistleblower who identified that MS-13, 18th Street gang members were sponsoring these poor children. And perhaps that's what's led to so many of them missing. Aaron Stevenson, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks. How are you?
Really good. I'm really looking forward to talking to you because we've gotten a lot of different talking points in recent days. You have Stephen Miller saying like, oh my gosh, there was even more missing than you were even told. It's like more closer to 400,000 plus when before we were told 300,000 plus. And then we were getting some, like News Nation was reporting, hey, this administration, we found 14,000 kids, which is a small drop in the bucket when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of children missing anyway. But you can share some insight on this. What's going on? Where are these kids?
I think Mr. Miller is correct when he says the number of kids is obviously higher. The number that Americans consistently go to is the reported number that HHS OIG delivers of how many missing kids in the unaccompanied child program. And what's important to understand is, as far as the migrant children, not every single migrant child who's getting trafficked came through the UC program. There was a substantial open border and smuggling operation going on as well. So going through the UC program is just one vehicle to get trafficked kids or kids in the country to be trafficked. smuggling is the traditional route as well. So the number is substantially higher. The problem is that's an unknown number, and that's something that has to be dealt with an intelligence solution. And by intelligence solution, I do mean like the U.S. government intelligence solution. So yeah, that's it as far as that answer. I want to be clear on that one, though. The number of missing kids is going to be a partially known number based on the data that we already kind of basically know about. So does that part make sense first off?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Because basically there's those that are reporting, and then there are those that were, I would tend to think of it as gotaways, like that didn't go through the system.
Yeah, it's two simple classifications, the known knowns and the known unknowns. And that's basically what it is. So those are two buckets which we have to deal with. I think they will be very intertwined based on the child trafficking economy and how it operates. It's not exactly like gangs won't be dealing with, there's a lot of ways you can attack this thing, but it's going to require an intelligence solution. And I'm very hard on that one because I don't think that's in play. And I've been pushing very, very hard for a long time to get that in play. And if it is in play, it's not good enough. And that's my whole thing. But this is not the president's problem. It's not Mr. Holman's problem. I don't think it's RFK's or Secretary Noem's problem. I think this is a problem basically below that. It's not even just your political appointees that are getting positions right now, slowly getting positions, but this is more of your workforce. They don't have the right personnel in place, and they did not eliminate the corruption inside his agencies. So that's my main second point is, your policy will always be your personnel, and your personnel have not changed. So I want to make sure that's clear as well.
And, we played some clips earlier about Rasmussen numbers and the numbers going down rapidly for the Trump administration. And it's like, oh, what could this be? Like, the economy is going great. He's done a great job on the border. Like, must be Epstein. But I think deeper than that is the rot that we can still see. One of the disillusionments of the first Trump administration is he said he would drain the swamp, and we know it was deep and wide, and he didn't do it. And there's concern that he's not going to really do it this time either. We're continuing to see evidence of rot within so many agencies, even after folks like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who were sounding the alarm on this over and over again on all kinds of podcasts, that they might need to blow it up and start it over, and that now we're seeing a lack of transparency there. And we're seeing FBI whistleblowers that were not only not hired back, but are being said that they have character flaws. And then you had your own experience where, have you heard from them about the way that you can help?
No. So I've already applied numerous times through USA Jobs, just for my old job back, right? And every time it doesn't even get to the interview section. Like, they know who I am. They'll see my name once it gets past the computer. And then it's just chop, not happening. I did apply because ICE put out a call yesterday for Americans to Serve. So I did apply for a deportations officer and as well as a criminal investigator, both of which I qualify for. So we'll see what happens there. I've talked to obviously a lot of people that are either close to circles of power or media types, friends and colleagues, whatever. And I know people have lobbied on my behalf, but the results still been the same. But again, especially when it comes to those things, hiring authorities do not come from high levels. Hiring authorities are handled by GS-14s at the lowest office possible. And I know the hiring offices and authorities have not changed personnel. And I've advocated for this from the get-go, from probably about March 2024 on. There has to be a concentrated effort, and I highly recommend they start utilizing the direct hire authority, because that's more important than just getting in all your nominations. Nominees can go as far as they can go. Your work is done by people. And that's where the bulk matters at. And 65% of feds, give or take, they don't care. They show up and do their job. Doesn't really matter. The next biggest population of feds are ideologues that are opposed to the president. So you got to figure out how to do with this thing, and it's going to require aggressive men, I think, to go in and do a job to clear out the rot. You don't need policy minds right now. You need, as I keep saying, you need a sergeant. You need somebody who is serious and who knows how to work in the trenches to do these things. It's not hard. I keep asking for it. I'm willing to serve, etc. It's just, it is what it is.
Trump has an incredible opportunity here, I think, because, well, the legacy media is trying to beat the drum of, oh, Trump might be a pedophile and he was in the Epstein files, and there's like frustration there. Ultimately, that comes from a righteous indignation of victimized children, and so if he put his attention on this issue, okay, let's find these missing kids. Let's get the best people in place to do investigations and rescue these kids that were victimized through the open border policies. I mean, I think that would speak volumes to the people that are frustrated with the lack of action on an old case, if you will, the Epstein case. Don't you agree?
I agree. And this thing, especially for the unaccompanied children in the HHS, that is a very solvable problem. And I'm just going to demonstrate that by understanding if people recall J6, we all remember J6 and J7, they were kicking in doors. The U.S. government is very effective and they are very efficient at what's called targeting, and I used to do this in the Marine Corps and the military and the DoD contracts I was on. We're very good at finding people. Now that was for overseas stuff, of course, but it's no different domestically for child trafficking networks. It's really, really not that hard. It just takes a different approach, and that approach is an intelligence solution first, and then incorporating the tools we already have. So maybe the border bill or the beautiful whatever it's called, maybe that's going to help out a lot because this will give you personnel. Cool, but the solution has to come from dominating the information space to understanding what the networks actually look like, because you can't just go. And I'm prefacing this very, very strongly right now. You cannot go knock on the door that the child said they were going to be at HHS, because you're not going to traffic a child out of the door that they said they're going to be at. So when a child got delivered to a sponsor, that kid's going to be moved by the sponsor. So just going to the address of the last known location is a bad idea. What you do instead is you target the trafficker, you target the sponsor. These are simple measures. This is not novel. It's something that we've done for a long time. It just requires this kind of personnel and those kind of jobs. And that doesn't exist. Right now in HHS, yeah, there's some immigration people. Yeah, there's some border people, but they're not an intelligence and a targeting mindset in the regard of like going out and finding people. And it can be done. So all these, the number I think that the HHS OIG came out with was 13,000 and some change since the inauguration. And I suspect the majority of that number are going to be either kids that aged out and they probably got caught up in deportation raids. So these were over 18-year-olds, probably young men. And I'm assuming a lot of these kids were not kids to begin with. They were like young men who reported themselves to be 17 to fraudulently go through the UC program to go into their like labor pools, whatever. I think that's the majority. I've looked at the daily UAC stats. It kind of supports that narrative. It doesn't support a widespread effective rate of going after, child sex victims or, tender age kids in trafficking environments. And I'm saying that also because of the way Fox News, and everybody else, I'm not dunking on Fox News, but everybody flipped out over finding 4 or 8 kids on a marijuana farm. They stumbled across those kids. They were not targeted. And there's a more effective way of delivering this. And that's my entire message. I'm not saying that, I'm upset that we found 13,000 kids. I think we should be better. I think we should be more aggressive. And I will die on that hill, and I will never, ever, ever alleviate from that, because I think that's the most important thing for us to be doing. So
100%. And there's so many that would agree with you. And I think that's an incredible point that, we saved more kids, but like you said, they were stumbled upon. They weren't even there wasn't an operation to save those children. And then you wonder how big this is, because you see stories like the horrible, horrific story that came out of Alabama of kids, I believe, 3 to 10 years old that were rescued from being trafficked in a random area. And I tried reading all these articles, whose kids are these? Where did they come from? And so I still don't know if that has anything to do with the migrant children, that story in particular. But if that is going on there, and that they just stumbled upon being able to rescue those kids, how much is happening in the dark? How much is clouded in secrecy? Why didn't we get any direction on where those kids came from?
I'm sorry, it's not the dark. It's us choosing to keep it dark. The 2 biggest populations of children being trafficked in this country are going to come from the unaccompanied child program and kids who've gone through CPS and the foster care system. HHS has dominance and authority over both of those populations. One, they completely control, which is why I'm so focused on that one. I'm also very smart on this one. That's why I'm so focused on it. But that's a central entity. You can use so much to do so much because it's a federal centralized thing. It's really easy to use. I'll acknowledge the CPS and foster care networks. Those are decentralized. They're not exactly like one central thing. However, due to its reliance on Title 40 funding, there is a lot you can do to quickly gain information dominance there as well. So being in the dark to me is doesn't exist. That's us choosing to not turn the lights on. That's us choosing to not be the ones that are doing the things that need to be done. We can be doing better. We should be doing better. I advocate for doing better. I have proposed numerous solutions on how to be doing things better, but all I can do right now is just, stay sidelined, stay a fired whistleblower, and that's it. That's all I can do.
Can you review the conditions under which you were fired? Like, how were they able to fire you? What did it? I mean, whistleblowers are supposed to have certain protections. This certainly isn't going to encourage others to speak up when they see things. So can you kind of just review that and remind us what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, everything I blew the whistle on publicly, I first went to the government first to try to solve this thing. Like, I did not just run to the media and be like, look, guys, child trafficking. I called every entity of DHS, every entity of the Transnational Organized Crime Working Group, every entity of DOJ, to include the FBI. I called a lot of people being like, hey, guys, I'm seeing, child trafficking here. Are you guys tracking this? This is a government, program of record, which means like everything's audited and cataloged, and like we all got our eyes on it. It's systematic. It's organized also inside the intelligence apparatus, which means it's part of a cycle and a system. So like people are tracking these things, and nobody was. So when I pushed and pressed hard on these things, and no one did anything with it, that was my decision to go like, all right, well then the system can't work. Therefore I'll take it public, which is a qualified protection still. The government argues that well, first off, I wasn't allowed to have an attorney. That's a whole different story. But the government argues that, I divulged the personal identifiable information of, like asylum seekers. And my response is no. I'm showing you child trafficking because the people that are seeking asylum are using asylum so that way they can stay in the country legally while they traffic children. That was demonstrated very clear. The pattern was obvious, and the government ignored me on that one. And there was also the two other things I blew the whistle on. Long story short, when I was fired, they didn't say I lied. They didn't say I was wrong. They didn't say I made it all up. They didn't say anything like that. And they wrongfully fired me because they violated U.S. code prior to me even blowing the whistle. They're supposed to offer, DHS and USCIS are supposed to offer like public access on our own working sites to get to the protected channels for whistleblowing. And we still don't do that. I took screenshots. Like, didn't happen then. It's not happening now. And on top of that, there's still, I think 5 U.S. code out there talks about, there's a standing U.S. code about retaliation and reinstatement and everything else for whistleblowers. Like, I qualify for that. But I can't get USCIS to call me back. I can't get them to respond to a lawyer. I can't get DHS to do the same thing. All the people that are allegedly lobbying on my behalf in order to get these, justices corrected and to be made whole, as has been said, there's no response there either. So I don't know anymore as that one. I talked to somebody recently. They seem pretty hopeful. They were very positive. Good dude. He's in the administration. And again, I've applied to the ICE openings for deportations and for criminal investigators. I applied for both of those things. My 6 times going to Iraq and Afghanistan kind of qualified me for all those things, but also identifying the biggest child trafficking trend in the UC program based on 3 cases establishes my ability to also be a criminal investigator as well. So I'm trying as hard as I can, but I cannot hire myself. Neither can the fired FBI whistleblowers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
This is so disgusting, and it definitely needs more attention. I mean, there's so many things running through my mind right now, like to be in your shoes and to be trying to blow the whistle on something so sick and not seeing action. For me, it would make me want to turn into a vigilante and be like, I'll save him myself then. Like, God's sakes, you know what I mean?
I want to clarify this. There is no action because the right people are not there. This is not a better system because Tara Rodas and myself are not inside of HHS or DHS doing this work. FBI has all their problems because people like Gerda Boyle, Steve Friend, Margaret Salin, Kyle Seraphin, Phil Kennedy, because they're not back. If they had authority to go in and find corruption, find the bad actors, they would do it quickly and efficiently. Same thing with Terra Rodas, HHS. Same thing with me at DHS. Your policy is always going to be your personnel at the end of the day. That's I think a blanket statement, which is black and white, very, very true. So,
and you know what, Aaron, it's something Dan Bongino used to say on his podcast all the time. So what's going on? You're the deputy director. Why are you not bringing the good personnel back? Like, it's just makes me so angry.
Well, again, we're trying as hard as we can, but it was not very popular to be a whistleblower in 2021 and 2022, et cetera. And it's still not right now, but it is what it is.
The power structure still has not been fixed by any degree. Let me ask you this. So you mentioned some people are talking about we need to make the whistleblowers whole again. Who are those people so we can call them out for, like, if you're going to say this, then what are you doing to help? And what efforts?
Yeah, I don't want to do it publicly only because maybe they're just slow. And I'm not trying to be like, I don't try to counter signal administration. Like, I'm not opposed to the president. I voted for him, 6 times now, 3 primary and 3 in the general. But yeah, I won't say publicly only because I want
to think that they're actually working on this.
Well, it's maybe they're just slow. And to be fair, that's one thing I've been trying to argue with, not argue in a bad way, but my argument is to my colleagues saying things like, guys, maybe they're just trying their best right now, and this is the best that they can deliver. And that's okay, which still demonstrates the necessity to be bringing people in who are the actual true experts to do the jobs. That's why I don't advocate for myself to try to become some kind of crazy high-level political appointee or like an SES or even a 15. Like, I was a 14-6. I was not that high. And I was good at what I did. I'm really good at doing work and, being the aggressor in a lot of things. I'm trying to go back to my job. I'm trying to solve the things that I blew the whistle on because I'm probably one of the smartest guys in the room on the things I blew the whistle on. That's why those things haven't been corrected. This is immigration corruption. This is immigration benefits fraud. This is deep state corruption. This is the child trafficking epidemic, all those things. I'm just trying to do what I can do in those regards. I don't want to get, famous or notoriety out of this. I'm not trying to be a media personality. And I promise you, I will never be running for political office. If you ever follow me on Twitter, I think you'll understand why. I'm trying to do what I'm good at. And again, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I guess, maybe they're trying their best and this is the best they can deliver. And that's, you have to accept things that are true.
Well, is there anything that we can do, those of us that are angry that this is being slow walked, that our beloved whistleblowers are still not restored? Is there anything that we can do to channel our anger into something productive to try and get the ball rolling?
I mean, my immediate and always reaction to this is going to be, of course, please pray for us. That's always going to be the first and foremost. I don't believe in public pressure campaigns. They fail too much. I don't believe in, like a hashtag war. It just doesn't work. If you have access to power, if you are anywhere close to power, if you are any of those things, it would help out. And also, by the way, that goes too for the media. And this is not you guys. I've talked to Linda TV numerous times. First time with you, and I'm obviously very thankful. But I've been gatekept by probably the majority of conservative, if you want to call it that, media. I've been obviously gatekept by everybody else. I called my hometown station, WGN, and was like, hey guys, child trafficking epidemic, I've got 5 whistleblowers, let's do a conversation and we can talk about what's going on out there. They ghosted me. So if you have access to power or access to broadcast, if you will, that's probably helpful. But I don't, that's, and also the idea of a pressure campaign, that's me saying I don't want to do that because again, I don't believe it delivers results. I won't tell people what to do in that regard. But if you have access to power, I think you should be using it. Please lobby, please leverage, please initiate meetings because my problem with this thing is for the child trafficking specifically, children are being raped, children are being sold for sex. And I will never celebrate ever, even when we get the last kid, even when we get, take down the last network, even when we destroy all the NGOs and all the infrastructure that they use to traffic, I will never celebrate. We need to get people in place now to take care of the problems now. So in other words, get serious people in serious positions doing serious things. And that's what I advocate for.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to let that sit with folks. Get serious people doing serious things. And ultimately, we all want these children rescued and good people back in place. Thank you, Aaron Stevenson, for that information, and keep us updated.
Thank you. Always. Christ is King.
Yes, absolutely. God bless. All right. We will see if there is time to get into some more immigration news. But first, let's hear from those that make this show possible.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
And welcome back to DC Dispatch. Only have a couple minutes left, but that was a heavy interview that we just had. So let's lighten things up and stay on topic. But if you haven't seen this video yet of that ISIS put out, you got to see the way they're promoting what they're doing right now. Watch this.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of 4. Book now with Jet2 Holidays.
Gotta love it, right? Gotta bring some levity to the situation. Certainly, we are having to clean up a huge mess. Disgusting story. Just recently saw transgender migrant Nicole Suarez, 30, appearing in court, accused of raping a 14-year-old boy in a New York City park bathroom back in February, facing serious charges like first-degree rape. The boy flagged down help after the attack at Thomas Jefferson Park, and locals are furious, with one deli owner calling it disgusting. That is an understatement. Some are saying this could have been avoided if Suarez had been deported earlier, given his illegal entry status and prior arrest record, which raises big questions about border security. Judge Janine Pirro is coming up with a strategy to really target these sanctuary cities. We'll probably hear some more from her tomorrow because like I said, I'm running out of time. But one quick note before I go, remember Mike Lindell, he has really been seeing God's favor with these cases, and he's really trying to grow this network. You just heard Aaron Stevenson talk about how other supposed conservative media have not been as responsive in advocating or wanting to even hear these stories. So we're going to keep it real always for you here, and with no agenda. And please continue to support Mike Lindell in those efforts. Be praying for him, and you can always donate to his defense at givesendgo.com/Lindell. Well, thank you so much for watching DC Dispatch. Keep it locked in here because there's hours and hours more of coverage here on Lindell TV White House Coverage Live.